The iPhone X, 3 months later, still worth buying? Find out right now in my review. Hi guys, thank you for joining me in another video, and today you're going to see my 3-month review of the iPhone X. I've been using it as my daily driver for 3 months exclusively to see what I think of it and give you guys genuine feedback from my experience. Now, little disclaimer, this is my experience. I'm not talking about other people's experiences. I might reference other people, but it is purely my experience, pure and simple. So let's start off with build quality. What do I think of the build quality? The phone does look really nice. The notch does not bother me in the slightest. I like the screen, true tone. It's a bit too yellow, to be honest, for my taste. It makes us everything kind of with this yellow film over it. But you can switch that off, so that's not a big deal. I'll tell you what is a big deal for me. I got the space gray iPhone X. Now, it has got a stainless steel frame around it, which is a lot more durable than aluminium. My issue is with the coating. Now, I've had the iPhone X in a case since day one. Okay, day one. And I'm one of these guys who babies my phones, takes the cases off regularly, cleans them out, everything. And it still managed to get a ding where the speaker part of the metal frame is. And it's chipped off some of that black kind of space gray shiny coating. Now that to me is really annoying. I've never ever, and I know you might not believe this, had that experience with any other device, even devices I've dropped. I've dropped my Note 8 and the gold bezel on that has not scratched, hasn't dinged, nothing's gone wrong with it at all. So I'm disappointed with that there's a shiny silver part showing on the actual frame of the phone. Now, there was a way around that. What I had to do to repair it was I got myself a Sharpie marker pen and I colored it in. Sounds stupid, but that's my OCD. Now, should a phone that costs £1,145, whatever it is, be that easily chipped? No, it shouldn't. And if you've got the white variant with the silver metal, that's even worse. That just chips, gets eaten away, scratches up really bad. So from my point of view, build quality is not great. It looks beautiful, it looks fine, but it shouldn't wear out that quick. It shouldn't get damaged that easily. Also, Apple claimed to have the strongest glass on the iPhone X out of any phone ever made. That's a load of rubbish. I have scratched the back of it despite using cases, but I've even used back protectors now on the back of the iPhone X when they're in a case just to protect the backing. The actual back glass, it's got a little dink in it. It's got a couple of faint scratches on it. And before you say, oh, it's just your iPhone X, blah, blah, I've got an iPhone 8 Plus that has the same glass, same issue. So if you do want to buy a 10, put a screen protector on it, put a case on it, because this thing still scratches and dings up very easy. So for me, although it looks beautiful, build quality is a no-go in my honest opinion. Okay, it's just my opinion, what I feel. So now let's talk about iOS 11, and yes, it is bug infested. When it first came out on the iPhone X, I thought, okay, it's a new beta type product. It's a new operating system. I expect some bugs to be present. But iOS 11 has got worse and worse and worse subsequently with the newer updates. It's actually got worse. Now, a lot of you out there are going to say, well, that's just your experience. That's not what we're finding. Well, it is my experience. That's why I'm making this video, because I want to give you guys my true experience. What I have found is with updates, as I said, it's got worse. To the point where I can no longer use my iPhone X. You're going to say that's extreme. It is not extreme. I tweeted this out. I was so aggravated with the phone, I wanted to smash it with a hammer. And I tweeted this out on my Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, use the link down below and hit that follow button. I am amazed how bad iOS 11 is. And I'm amazed at how Apple have allowed it to get this bad. It's unbelievably rubbish. I have a lot of apps that don't work properly. They're not optimized properly. They crash out. I'll give you some examples. Google Plus, and I use it a lot because I'm a YouTuber. I have to reply to people and so on. Google Plus, when I clear notifications, go to another page, come back, those notifications have reappeared. Facebook, when I'm going in there, clicking on the notifications I've got, going in to see what those are and so on. Halfway through, they become unresponsive. I click on the notifications, they won't do anything. So I have to come out, close the app, go back in, just so I can view those notifications. Did I mention Google Plus also crashes out a lot? My email app crashes out a lot. My banking app, it doesn't register my touches properly. So if I touch on the top part of the screen, it thinks I'm touching on the middle part of the screen and then opens the wrong account for me. And that's just a few issues I'm having. There's a lot of other issues. And when I tweeted this out, a lot of people turned around and they said, we're not having as bad a problem as you. Or a big one that was coming up is, it's not that bad. Let me ask you this. When you're buying the most expensive smartphone on the market, I'm not talking about those virtue handsets, I'm talking about real consumer phones. When you're talking about a device that costs over £1,000, how can you justify that price point when people are using comments like, it's not that bad? I don't want to hear it's not that bad. Stop justifying poor performance by Apple. Stop it. This is the problem. When you justify it, they carry on giving you rubbish. Then there's issues with other apps. I can't go into it, it'll take me all day, but there's a lot of issues. Apps close. Skype will stop working. I was getting notifications, but I could not open the app to go into it and use it. As soon as I tried opening it, it would just crash instantaneously. That's just another example. eBay. Every time I open eBay, it says error, URL, or something along those lines. I don't know what that means. I'm not a technician, but there are a lot of issues like this. I hate the notifications and the notification shade at the top. They don't clear. When you clear them in your actual app itself, they don't clear from there. You have to go in and manually clear them. Why are they not grouped together by app rather than have a million notifications? If you're like me and you're a heavy user and you're getting 500, 600, 700, 800, even 1,000 messages or notifications an hour, it drives you nuts. It really does. There's people telling me I haven't upgraded my iOS. I'm still on the original iOS, whatever. Stop making excuses for Apple. Why should you not update to the new software? Because a lot of people already know if they update to the new software, it's going to be buggy as hell. It's going to make the phone even worse. Let's now move on. I don't want to take this into a rant video, but I feel so angry with how bad the performance is that I no longer can use this device as a daily driver because it just doesn't do what I need it to do. Let's move on now. Let's move on. Calm down. Let's do a bit of zen. Battery life has progressively become worse and worse and worse. When I first got the phone, it was great. I didn't really have a huge deal with the battery life. It was working as it should. Nice long battery life. Not quite as good as the iPhone 8 Plus, but not far off. So I can live with that. I can deal with that. But after 3 months, I'm now having to charge it 3 times a day. Once in the morning, once in midday, once mid-evening, and then put it on charge again at night. Again, is that acceptable for a device that costs over £1,000? Why has the battery become so bad over time? It's because of the software updates. They're no longer optimized. This is what Apple were famous for. This is what Apple passion was. was to make a smooth, good quality software experience. That's what they're famed for. Great apps that work really well, better than Android apps, better than Windows apps. I'm sorry, but on the iPhone X, that's no longer the case. You can tell me what you want, you can say what you want. You can defend Apple blindly if you want to do that, but then that's just stupidity. Do not keep defending these companies, because this phone should be near perfection for the price it's at. It's just... Sorry, I'm turning into a rant again. Let me just calm myself. Okay, so battery life has got a lot worse over the 3-month period. Simple. Let's talk about some positives now, just to balance it up a little bit. I don't mind the notch. I don't have an issue with it. You get used to it. It doesn't really bother me. Where it does bother me is where apps haven't been optimized properly for the notch, so it cuts off some of the notifications at the top, or some of the app at the top. The bottom's not optimized properly, or you get two big black borders top and bottom, so the screen size becomes an iPhone 8 in essentially, which is a bit too small for my liking. You know, with my old eyes, I wish it was a bit bigger, the screen, but you know, it is what it is. I knew what I was getting when I got into it. But the quality of the screen is excellent. But there is one thing I'd like to mention, and this is not something I'm going to blame Apple for, blame anyone for. It's just me personally and a few other people that I've spoken to about their iPhone Xs. When I use an iPhone X, it gives me headaches and really sore eyes. I get really red eyes, sore eyes, because I'm a heavy user. I found out that certain types of screen technology use, I don't know what exactly the term, pulse technology, I don't know the exact term, the exact name for it, but basically it's essentially the phone is switching each pixel on and off really rapidly. You can't see with the human eye, but it's happening. And some people are more susceptible to that than others, and unfortunately I'm one of those people. And because I use the iPhone X so much, that constant pixels on and off, it gives me headaches and sore eyes. Makes it very difficult to use, honestly. But I'm not blaming Apple for that. I'm not blaming the iPhone X for that. I'm just giving you my experience and how it affected me. Another positive, speakers. Speakers are great. I like the bottom and top speakers, very crystal clear. Call quality is really good, but I find sometimes the reception can be a bit iffy. It's just sometimes, not often, but it's a bit of a strange one. That. What other positives are there? Let's talk about camera real quick. Cameras. Back cameras, very good. I wish the mic was a little bit better, but I'm happy with it. It's a solid camera, the back camera. I like the 4K 60 frames per second video shooting mode, love that. What I don't like, however, is the portrait mode on the selfie camera. It doesn't work properly. Now I know Apple said it's a beta thing and they're gonna release it and do stuff, whatever, blah blah blah. I don't care. Why is it 3 months later it still doesn't function correctly? It can't focus on my hair. Sometimes it puts my glasses out, and when I'm wearing glasses out of focus, sometimes my ears disappear off the picture. And I ain't got small ears, I got big ears. Sometimes it blurs out my ears into the background. And it's not a little bit, it happens a lot, a majority of the time. Now, granted, some of you might say you've got a defective unit or whatever. I don't think so. I haven't dropped my phone. Everything else seems to be working well. I've done various tests on it. And again, I think it's the software is causing this issue. So portrait mode is on the selfie camera is pretty much useless to me at this point. I've got, I'm just looking down there, HTC U11Is. I've got the Honor 9 Lite. They do better portrait shots with their selfie cameras than the iPhone X. I'm sorry, but it is fact. And they're both budget phones. £199 for one I think it's £340 for the other. A third of the price, or a quarter of the... In fact, the Honor 9 Lite is... What was that, 1/6 of the price. And it gives me better portrait results with the selfie camera. It's just mind-bogglingly annoying. I'm getting temperamental. It's trying to compose myself, because when I really get annoyed with a product, I really get annoyed with the product. And my experience is it's just got worse and worse and worse. The form factor is really nice if you've got smaller hands. Now, if you've got bigger hands like me, what I find is, because you got to keep putting your thumb at the bottom to do everything, swipe up, move across apps, do other things, it causes me to get pain in my hand. That's just me. That's because I've got giant sausage hands, whatever you want to say. But that is just something, be aware of it if you've got big hands. I also don't like the control center being in the top right hand corner of the screen, because even with big hands, I have to kind of shuffle my hand up to drag the control center down to use it, which again is stupid. Maybe I'm being harsh on Apple. Maybe it's their first sort of venture into this kind of bezel-less arena. But come on, man. They're famed for their software experience, their user experience, and this just does not deliver. And you're going to go, well, you just hate Apple, you don't like Apple. I have an iPhone 8 Plus. I have an iPhone 10. I've got the Apple AirPods. I've got an Apple Watch 3. I've got here the HomePod, which I'm going to be making my videos about soon. So I'm not biased. And I bought all these. These weren't sent to me. I didn't get a special deal, any of this. I didn't get half price deal. Apple don't have me on their guest list or nothing like that. I bought all this. So unlike a lot of people out there, I can pretty much say what I want to say about it. So I know I'm in a little bit of a haze right now. I'm really annoyed. Should you get an iPhone 10? Right now, honestly, no. Even though it's got great speakers, a great screen, really good rear camera, face lock works exceptionally well. I find the build quality is good, but the materials are pretty poor, if I'm honest. The fact you don't get the fast charger in the box is a bit of a rip-off. I had to buy that stuff separately, which bulks the price up even more. I don't even mind there's no headphone jack. I would have preferred it, but I understand we're going to that. That's our destined future. So that doesn't bother me. But what does let me down is it's not so much the hardware. The materials, yes, they're not as good as Apple say they are. What lets me down is the user experience. And Apple knows it. And I actually get a lot of people, my subscribers, my viewers, asking me if I would be interested in swapping my iPhone 8 Plus with their iPhone 10. And that's no lie. I get a lot of people ask me that question, where they want to do a straight up swap. I mean, here's my iPhone 8 Plus, in case you're wondering if I'm making up stuff. And I don't want to, because this actually works pretty well. It does have its own issues, but nowhere near as bad as this. So if you really must have an iPhone, if you really must have one, go for an iPhone 8 Plus. That's what I feel. Don't go for the iPhone 10 yet. It's just not worth it, in my opinion. And the second-hand resale value of this is not that great. I'm seeing them popping up for £700, £600 for sale, hardly used. I know they're classed as second-hand, but that's not a good. Like, their products are known to hold value. For some reason, that isn't. Apple themselves, I think they know they messed up with the iPhone 10. I think they know that. Which is a shame. I had high hopes for it. I really did. I really did, and it's let me down. And I know a lot of you are going to give me thumbs down. A lot of Apple fanboys or whatever, you're going to go, oh, you don't know this, you don't know that. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. And this is my experience. You can't tell me my experience is wrong. That is the experience I'm having with the device. So to me, iPhone 10 doesn't stand for 10. The X doesn't stand for 10. It stands for do not buy. Apple saw the future. They even named the phone. The iPhone X, or the iPhone you shouldn't buy. That's TechZilla out. Thank you for watching this video. Sorry if it started sounding a bit ranty, but I had to be honest with you guys. And I had to give you my true emotional feedback. There are other things that annoy me about iOS, like no dual screen, multitasking is a pretty bit of a joke, to be honest. But that's not what the iPhone 10 is about. I was reviewing it and using it as an iOS device. No precursor of comparing it to an Android device. So where I see it is, don't buy it yet. It's a beta product. If you really must have it, then go ahead, buy it. But I wouldn't. Anyway, take care. I'll see you all again real soon. And leave your comments down below. Subscribe, thumbs up. Peace.